Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
We would love to have Kelvin back. The sky's the limit. He's only going to get better because of the way he works. You know, when you love something as much as he loves football, you can't help but get better.
Stepping up, fires it deep downfield. Once Calvin Ridley. Calvin's out there. Calvin's got it. 5-yard line into the end zone. Touchdown. Trevor Lawrence to Calvin Ridley for the score.
Yeah, Josh will be a Jaguar.
3rd and 3. Young goes down again, and it's Josh Allen. Boy, they're starting to pin their ears back. 4th sack for this Jacksonville defense.
You got to take a competitive football team and turn it into a champion. That's not easy, but that's our job.
You only get so many windows in this league, and we feel like with the personnel that we have and we'll continue to add, you know, our window's now.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Let's fix your Jacksonville Jaguars today, huh? How about that? Good morning, Tony Smith. We got all the answers in the next 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much we'll fix, but we'll at least point at the problems.
We'll put the blueprint out there. I could fix it. I mean, I think there's a pretty clear path to getting things fixed for the Jags, at least a lot of their top problems. You're not going to fix every problem. Guess what? The Chiefs have problems, right? They just overcame them.
Sure.
And they won, and it all gets washed away. So it's okay. You don't have to be a flawless football team to be a deep championship contender.
No.
But right now, too many flaws for this football team. So anyway, good morning, Pockets. How are you?
We're good, man. We got a week away from a track meet, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are we fired up? I mean, is Baldwin any good at track? You got some fast kids?
We got some kids.
You got some throwers of the javelin and things like that?
Oh, we got one thrower.
Yeah?
One decent one. We got a tough district, man.
Do you?
Yeah.
District full of throwers?
No, runners. Really.
Ah.
Rains, Ribault, Bishop Kenny Episcopal, West Nassau's in there. Missing one school. But, I mean, like a lot of those schools last year, they made it to state, so we got our work cut out for us.
I had a buddy who was really fast. Like, you know that guy you play with, Tony? You're like, yeah, this guy's really fast. I wonder how fast he actually is, you know? And he went to UCF, and he walked onto the track team as a sprinter. And his goal, and he accomplished it eventually, his goal was to not finish dead last in a meet, in a race.
I've been there.
You know, and I mean, look, you know, you think, I'm pretty good, I'm pretty fast, I'm this, I'm that. I could play at the next level, whatever that level is. Not always. But he made it, you know, and he, I guess he got the letter, so good for him, you know, and he did beat somebody. I would not want to have been that guy. Apparently, there weren't too many of those. We've got a winner ourselves, Tony, for the Super Bowl Jag Bag contest. I found it really interesting as I went through. I didn't add it up. I could. But I would say roughly 75% of the people that entered the contest picked San Francisco to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Not shocking that you could pick San Francisco to win the Super Bowl. It's just that, like, if you looked at the 1010XL graphic that we sent out, we had to have how many people on? Close to 30 people on that, maybe?
Yeah, something in there. Yeah.
How do we have this many people employed at this radio station, first of all? Okay? Okay, can we get rid of some of the Johnny-come-latelys and give the rest of us more? No, I'm kidding. I love everyone who works here. Absolutely, 100%. But I would say out of that whole group, like only 4 people picked San Francisco, right? You went to ESPN, and you look at their expert selections, their NFL insiders, I'd say it was about 80-20 picking the Chiefs. Now, granted, this game was really close. Could have gone either way. It was just interesting to me. With that, I would have thought it would have been closer to a 50-50 type proposition.
Yeah.
So anyway, here are the entries that got both predictions right. Remember, you had to pick which team would win, so eliminated all the San Francisco entries right off the top. You had then to make a prediction of something that would happen in the game. There were a lot of Kadarius Toney-related predictions in this game. Who's the outlier? Everyone's trying to guess who would score that outlier touchdown. Nobody guessed Mecole Hardman. Did have some Justin Watsons. He didn't score. You could have gone with MVS. Could have gone with Juwan Jennings. Didn't have to go with that touchdown, but here are some of the ones, actually the only 4 that got both predictions right. Kansas City to win from Rick, and the KC kicker kicks at least one field goal and one extra point. Okay. You know, that's pretty low-hanging fruit, right? Yeah. It's not the same as just kicking a field goal. It's a little bit more difficult, but generally, most winning kickers are going to get one of each of those, I think. So,
most of the time, yeah.
This one was a little bit more complicated. This is from Essa. Chiefs win. Kelsey with 4 more catches. Pacheco rushes for over 50 yards. So, that, you take that as one combined prediction. Mm-hmm. Kelsey does X, Pacheco does Y. And while that's a multiple kind of piece thing, I felt like, Kelsey would have been shocking not to have 4 more catches.
Yes. And I think the betting prop was 7.5.
Was it 7? I thought it might have been 6.5. You're probably right.
Yeah.
I know the yardage was 72.5.
Yeah.
And you could tease that up if you wanted to. And Pacheco's was 67.5 or 66.5. It might have come down over the weekend, but either way, I felt like those were pretty easily attainable, but not bad. Also had one Chiefs win. It's from Kevin. Mm-hmm. Kyle Juszczyk has over 25 all-purpose yards.
Okay.
That's not a given. No. Now, I thought this one stood out to me more than the other one, even though there were multiple pieces to that. But I found it hard to go away from ultimately Chiefs win with a touchdown in overtime to win it. Right? I mean, it was 11-1 odds to go to overtime, just to go to overtime. Then if the Chiefs win, they can win it on a field goal, right? And certainly, I think whatever the odds were for the Chiefs to win specifically with an overtime touchdown had to be longer than 11-1, or at least like 15-1. We determined that was the least likely one to happen. So David, who entered that, will get the Jag bag, which will finalize the details of what's in it once I get hold of McManus. And all right. If it was 1-11 that the Super Bowl would go to overtime, what are the odds that McManus forgot totally about grabbing something for the Jag bag?
Unless he's listening now.
Right, I think he's in the podcast studio right now, as a matter of fact. So anyway, we'll get you some goodies. I've got a Byron Leftwich, Todd McFarlane action figure, I guess you'd call it. I've got a Leonard Fournette Pop Funko, got a collection of commemorative Jag soda bottles from the 1990s as well. Mm-hmm. That's in there. Just a little bit of swag for your Jaguar collection. So we appreciate everybody who played along in the contest, and all of you who picked San Francisco made my life easy. I could just go delete. Actually, I didn't delete them. I just read them and just moved on to the next one. But there you go. All right. Today, Tone, we're going to try to fix the current state of your Jacksonville Jaguars, and we put out the Tuesday top 5 yesterday, and it is basically the top 5 things the Jags need to get off their butts and do this offseason, right? What are the priorities in terms of whether it be personnel acquisition or anything else? Here's how we wrote it. What are the top 5 issues the Jaguars have to address this offseason? So this is doesn't have to just be got to go get a starting corner. I mean, that could be something that you feel
could be on the list.
Absolutely on the list. It could also be, something like a renewed emphasis on tackling, right? Could be like something like that. I mean, that's not something necessarily tangible that you can say, okay, we definitely accomplished that. You don't know that until the season plays out. But that's fair game as well, as far as that goes. So you can hit us up with your top 5 today. We send these out on Monday night now, because it takes a little bit more time, maybe a little bit more effort to give us the full top 5 list. We appreciate all the folks who do. Some people give us 1. Some people give us Fire Balky 5 times. Not to be unexpected, right? I mean, I expect it still at this point. I'll reach a point where someone's going to suffer the wrath of I've just gotten too many Fire Balky texts and tweets, right? And I get it. Now, you're totally valid opinion, entitled to that opinion, but I'm just warning you, one day someone's going to give me hashtag Fire Balky to something that has nothing to do with Trent Balky, and I may go back into the Twitter block pile.
Stop the cap. It's not ground that hasn't been covered and is unproductive when we're discussing what the Jags need to do to get
Now,
better.
look, if you want to throw Firebalky into that's fine. I'm
it's
not,
fine.
it is whatever.
Like 5
right.
times, like, okay, we get it. You don't want him
You
here.
don't want Trent Ball. And by the way, that's not something they're going to do
No.
this offseason,
No,
right?
if you wanted to put it at number 1 on your list and include 4 other things that they can address, okay.
Sure, if you think that's something they need to address is the front office and the decision-making, it's valid.
Yeah, I didn't put it on my list because I've made my position pretty clear on the Balky thing.
Right, we would have moved on, but
Yeah.
now that it's not going to it's like wasting one of your opportunities kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like if you really could fix these, if you had 3 wishes and there were only certain things you're able to do
I would
with
still
them.
only wish that once. Right? If I had the 3 wishes.
I hope you're. Can we just start out with the more wishes wish, by the way, right? So we know whether that thing took effect, because that's everyone's last wish. I'd wish for another 100 wishes. Start with that one, so you know what you're working with here. All right. So anyway, what are your top 5 issues the Jags have to address this offseason? You can jump in and share those with us on the All-Pro Roofing phone lines at 641-1010. The text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures at that same number. Hit us up on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, or at 1010XL Denmark.
Let's go racing, boys!
This guy, I don't know what's up with this guy lately, but he's got that Daytona mood.
He's ready
on
for
his
NASCAR,
mind.
yeah.
Pockets, we have some kind of tickets to give away today.
We do. I was going to throw to it next segment.
You tell us. Can you throw to it now and tell us?
Oh, we
now?
can.
That'd be great.
We got a pair of tickets to see George Strait, Chris Stapleton, and Little Big Town live at Everbank Stadium on May 11th. If you want those tickets, call me up at 641-1010.
That seems like no, hold on now. Wait, whoa. Don't call them up now.
Okay.
Okay, no. I just wanted you to let us know what the tickets are that we're giving
that's what
out
they
yet.
are.
Okay. At some point, maybe we'll be calling up. We're not giving those tickets away yet, right? Okay, just so we're all on the same page here. I'm just watching out of the corner of my eye to see these phone lines lighting up. But that seems like a pretty big lineup there.
That's a lineup.
So here they go, and here they go. So call. We didn't say which call. It would be caller 1,172. All right. So all you early birds. See, all I wanted was to know what the tickets were. The little crossing of wires. That's my bad.
Yeah.
Right there. So we have not. We will give away that pair of tickets, or that. Yeah, it's a pair, right? That's
yes.
what we got. We'll give those away at some point throughout the show today.
And we're giving them away on like a lot of the shows today, so keep on listening if you don't get them.
If you don't win them on our show, you won't get the tickets. Won't be as good probably because they're coming from us. I can't speak. I have no idea. I'm sure they're fantastic wherever the seats are in this. We got Demetrius Harvey from the Florida Times Union coming up.
Yeah.
A little over an hour from now. Discuss his most recent article on free agents that the Jags should be interested in re-signing and what the priorities should be. So with that in mind, we're going to do reverse countdown with us today because I feel like we know what the top couple of issues we're going to agree on are with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So let's do it in reverse order to try to maybe at least build the drama to see if things get different the later we get into the show instead of building towards, hey, and that Josh Allen fella probably needs a contract, right? So, Pockets, why don't you fire up number 1 in the countdown, please?
Number 1.
There you go. Jump right to the good stuff, Tony. We'll alternate today, see who goes first on these, but it is Josh Allen to me. I mean, they're going to get something done with him. They've got the franchise tag in their back pocket, but to me, it's more like the priority should be getting something done so Josh Allen is no longer a talking point going forward. Get a long-term deal done with him. And the benefits of that are just, I don't know, tenfold, right? You're going to have a more happy Josh Allen. It's going to play well in the locker room. It's going to show guys that if you come in here, get drafted, and perform at a high level, you're going to get rewarded. It frees up the franchise tag to apply to Calvin Ridley. It doesn't carry this issue into the summer. It's not a talking point all summer long. Why couldn't they get this done with Josh Allen? It's not this cloud lingering over. When is he going to sign the tag? Then you get into next year. Are you going to go to the tag again? How long is he going to be here in Jacksonville? Just get a long-term deal done with Josh Allen. Obviously, they are not going to let him go. Like, the franchise tag is there. He's not walking out for nothing from this organization. As Trent Baalke said as much, he will be a Jaguar. Let him be a Jaguar under a long-term deal, please.
Josh Allen, I do have the whole Josh Allen thing at number 1, but I consider not even putting it on my list of 5. That's how sure I am that it's going to be the franchise tag at this point. I just think the odds that they're going to get the extension done with Josh Allen and what that would allow for them some more flexibility. I think that's what the priority should be. I think in the end, Josh Allen's camp isn't going to take any offer that Trent Baalke is willing to make right now until they see what these other guys are willing to sign, and I don't think Baalke is going to be willing to make an offer that puts him close to that $30 million a year mark that I think he would be willing to sign without having to see what these other guys are getting in free agency. But because I think a lot of whatever Josh is going to get is dependent on that, and Trent Baalke's not going to make the offer that would make him sign it right now, we're going to see him on the franchise tag, and we'll see if they get the extension done at some point after that, after those other contracts come in. But the way it feels to me right now, they're not going to get anything done as far as an extension with Josh Allen until at least a couple months into the franchise tag window. I would love for them to get the extension done now. That'd be awesome. And to still have the tag to maybe use on Calvin Ridley. I just think the odds of that are so low at this point.
I think they are too, but look, even if they get the extension done in the summer, it's not as ideal as it would be to have a franchise tag available for somebody else. But if they get that done, it's still an accomplishment because it takes that his future –
he's here.
Off the table. Right. There's no cloudiness.
There's no chance that they're having to do this again next offseason.
Correct.
He's
with
here.
the same guy.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about, are we going to escalate the franchise tag by 40% and all the different calculations.
And I think that's what's going to happen. I really do. I think he's going to be put on the franchise tag, and they're going to figure out what the extension looks like after that. But I think that's Baalke's plan. I think his plan is we're going to use the franchise tag and then figure out the extension after that. I don't think his plan right now is we're going to get Josh Allen on the extension so that we can use the franchise tag.
No, I agree with that. I agree. But getting Josh Allen signed to a long-term deal is still priority one.
I'm with you.
Ideally, comes before the franchise tag deadline. I'm with you. I don't expect that to be – that would be a phenomenal win right now in the court of public opinion, I think, for Trent Baalke. Sure. One of the few that he could possibly have on the horizon.
Even the haters would have to be like, got that one.
Now, you know what? The haters would be, you should have signed him last year. You could have had him for less. Well, maybe.
Okay.
If he would have taken – but you don't think that would be the case, though?
I know.
You know it would be the case.
You know, I talked to enough people when we asked the question, 4 years, 80. No, why would you spend that much on Josh Allen? I saw you.
Right.
I saw you all out there saying it.
And now you're saying we should have done it.
Yeah, like, settle down.
I'm with you on that. Like, if they had done that last year, they would have said you're paying him based on what?
Right.
These guys had, 16 sacks over the last 3 years.
It wouldn't have been me, but
was.
It would have been a large group of the fan base.
No, it would have been.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, it would have been me. Like, I'm willing to roll the dice because, we sit here now in hindsight knowing Josh Allen had 17.5 sacks. What if he had gone out and had 7.5 again?
Yeah.
What if he had?
Well, that's the argument to not do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you're still still probably franchise tagging. You're probably not letting him go.
Like, I understood when I asked the question, I'm way more confident that he's going to be a 12 to 15 sack guy than most people. Right? Like, I had that confidence already going into last year. I could understand people not having it after the couple of years he had just had. I was confident he would, not 17, but I was confident he would be a double-digit sack guy at least for the Jaguars last year. I'm glad he had a breakout
Right.
year.
Doesn't matter really what we felt then now because we're at where we're at. So number one for us, obviously, get something done with Josh Allen, and that's why we're doing the countdown in reverse. Not a whole lot of drama there. We know that's incredibly important for the Jags. We'll go throughout the course of the show today, counting down our own personal top 5 things that we feel like the Jags need to accomplish this offseason. Some of them a little bit hard to define. How do you know that this is accomplished? And you might not know it until you see at least the 2024 season play out. So, you know how to get on board the program today. Demetrius Harvey, like we said, about an hour away. I got a 3-round mock from our man Chad Ryder, as he promised. He would deliver one right after the Super Bowl, and he has done just that. So we'll take a look at that from a Jags perspective as well. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey for Tire Outlet. Do you want to ride in style? How about a brand new set of tires from Tire Outlet who offer the best selection, the best quality, and, of course, the best prices so you can find the best tires for your vehicle. They've got over 4 decades of experience and 14 convenient locations around the First Coast alone. You can trust them with your vehicle's tires and a lot more. Hurry into Tire Outlet. You'll get great deals on tires with the legendary price match guarantee, but they also have a fleet of expert technicians ready to do the maintenance or repairs you need to keep your vehicle performing at its best. Tires, they got them. Service, they got that too. Tire Outlet, where you always get wholesale prices and premium service.
It's Jaguars Today, Tuesday.
Brought to you by Dream Finders Homes from the JOI Studios at 1010XL. JOI, where the pros go. Your home for Gators Hoops is 1010XL.
After taking care of business with number 12 Auburn, the Gators get LSU tonight at 7:30 on 1010 a.m. Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Look, it's not often we hear about a company, a weight loss company at that, offering a 1-week trial. Well, Awaken 180 isn't just any company. They feel so strongly in their program that if you aren't 100% satisfied with your results in the first week, you can get a full refund. I'll repeat that a different way. Awaken 180 works. They know it. I know it. Over 21,000 others do too. And Paige and her coaches want to prove it to you. If the results aren't what you expected in your first week, you can stop and get 100% of your money back. Where's the risk? What's the catch? There is none, and it's nothing new. This is the Awaken 180 policy because they know you'll succeed. You know my results. I dropped 5 pounds every week with Awaken 180, and it was easy. Just over a month in total, and all 25 pounds were gone. Matt Hayes seeing the same results. Awaken 180 is no risk, but every reward. Reserve your at-home consultation today at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
Grilling up lunch with Leon and the Sausage Dudes. Sausage with a purpose.
Join me, Leon Searcy, on XL Primetime, weekdays for Lunch with Leon.
On 1010XL.
I downblock with all my funk.
Local 234 Plumbers, Pipe Fitters, and HVAC Technicians is now taking applications for their state-certified apprenticeship program. As an apprentice, you'll receive excellent benefits, higher pay, job placement, and even earn college credit. The 5-year programs include plumbing, pipe fitting, welding, and HVAC. A career as a journeyman means stability and security. For more information, visit ua234.com/apprenticeship. Local 234. Make the right connection.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Did you know Prime Roofing manufactures, fabricates, and installs their metal roofs? If you're thinking about a metal roof, think Prime Roofing. Schedule an estimate today at PrimeRoofingFL.com. That's PrimeRoofingFL.com.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
George Strait?
I'm guessing.
I got like a 1-3 shot here. George Strait pockets?
That's it.
All right.
Get a song?
Do I know the song?
Yeah.
Bro, I feel like I just won a cruise to the Caribbean for
Like
getting
if you
George
were-
Strait.
Yeah, if you were playing Stapleton and it was Tennessee whiskey, I'd have you. But that's the one
that's
I
the only
would
song
know.
I know of his.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said that's the only song I know,
I know.
of
I
Chris
just,
Stapleton.
it's all that sounded like gobbledygook to me.
Yeah.
But I've heard the name Chris Stapleton, so there's that. Hey, look,
he's
I know he's hugely
crazy
popular.
talented. Yeah.
Right. That's fantastic. Like, to each your own, right? I mean, don't listen to old man Mike about your musical tastes. You know, people, just because he played that song doesn't mean we told you to call.
This is so funny.
I'm not throwing out any cue to call because people just can't control themselves, Pocket. So at some point, we'll give you a cue to call. And when we do, if you're the right caller, you'll get tickets to that concert coming up. A couple here, Tony, before I go any further. This one, if it makes sense, it's a good business decision. The Jags won't do it. There's a lot of that going around out there that's on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Let's see. In terms of Josh Allen, somebody taking the other tact here. Are you not concerned at all about Allen not performing after he gets his contract? The guy hasn't been the guy for 3 of the 4 years here. I mean, y'all talked about cutting him a couple years ago. When?
What are you talking about?
Who talked about cutting Josh Allen? Like, we say a lot of things.
There have been many things said on this show about Josh Allen. I have clearly been more confident in what Josh Allen was going to be than you were, and that's fine, right? Like, that's fine, but you've never gotten close to saying cut him, right? And I'm the one who said last offseason sign him to the extension before he had a second big year. Like,
I don't know what.
That's craziness.
Yeah, I don't know. At any point, anyone on the station would have suggested cutting Josh Allen.
If someone did, it wasn't us.
And if someone did, then take it up with them. Let's see. And they continue. Josh was the best player on a bad defense. Like, where was he when all those hurt and backup quarterbacks like Browning and Flacco and Baker were lighting us up, just hanging out in the pocket? Okay, they said Dan and Jeff said it. Well, if that's the case, I don't know if they did. Take it up with them.
Take it up
when
with
you
them.
say you said to cut Josh Allen, we're on the air right now. This is not like the community channel. You're tweeting at this show or texting this show.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know, I'm not even believing that Dan and Jeff said it unless they confirm that that's the case. I find it hard to believe that they would have suggested cutting Josh Allen at any point in his tenure here in Jacksonville.
And if they did, as you said,
He's
take it
a
up
Pro
with them.
Bowler as a rookie.
Yeah.
And no matter how bad it got, I can't imagine anybody being that down on Josh Allen compared to the rest of what we've got here in Jacksonville. But no, I'm not concerned. Look, you have to take a chance on guys sometimes. You know, are you concerned with any free agent that comes in and signs a big money deal? You know, am I concerned with Calvin Ridley? There's a level of concern, but with Josh Allen, it's very minimal.
I'm with you.
I think he's got that DNA.
Close to not at all. It doesn't concern me basically at all. I'm not saying that it's not a possibility, but it's not going to be the thing I'm thinking about when I want to see him sign the extension.
Right? Is
I'm
there
not
a
worried about it.
subconscious, like, I just got $25 million, I can relax a little? Maybe, right? I mean, that's human. Maybe.
Yeah. He doesn't strike me as that type of guy,
no,
but it doesn't
I'm not
make
saying
it impossible.
particularly to Josh Allen. I'm just saying in human nature, there might be a little bit of, I made it, right? Like, it could be. But particular to him, like, I think he's got less of that than the typical player does.
I think there is
That's my opinion.
An argument to be made already that Josh Allen is the best pass rusher the team's ever had. Right? Like, I think there's an argument you can make after the year he just had. He's the best they've ever had. He's past Tony Brackens now in my mind as a pass rusher on this roster. So you have to debate him basically against 2 years of Calais, right? And whatever you got on his rookie contract from Jan. Those are the guys now you have to debate whether he's better. I'm not saying it's a great debate team, right to have those arguments against. They're not all-time greats, but people act like I'm not saying that.
And by the way, quite frankly, I don't care if he's the 10th best pass rusher in history or clearly number one. It doesn't really matter because at this point, who cares? You're not going to sign Tony Bracken's in his prime.
No.
Calais is not coming back in his prime.
No.
Jan's not coming back in his prime. So he's here. This is what you got. Yeah. He's among the best in the league right now.
They weren't able to hold on to Jan. They didn't hold on to Calais Campbell. They have the chance to hold on to Josh. Do it.
And by the way, if you want to say that, then no pass rusher was any good. Because I guarantee you, because this person keeps going, what? Answer the question. Where was he against these teams? Where was Micah Parsons in any game where he didn't have a sack this year? Where was T.J. Watt in any game he didn't? Josh Allen had 17 and a half sacks. Only T.J. Watt had more in the entire league. So he was in the backfield and getting quarterbacks down as much as almost anyone in football. That's where he was.
Yeah.
In any particular week, did he? That's the nature of sacks and pass rush. That's football. If you've watched a little of it, you probably know that. I mean, honestly, come on. All right.
It's silly.
Pockets, why don't you fire up number 2 on the countdown today, going in reverse
Number
order.
2.
There you go. It's a big build-up to that one. All right, we're counting down the 5 things that the Jaguars need to accomplish, the top 5 issues they have to address this offseason. I went first last time. You go first on number 2, Tony. We're counting them down for us from most to least important because we think it'll get more interesting as you get down into the weeds a little bit.
I thought about splitting this one, but I did not. Considering I only have 5 places. Interior offensive line. Center, not because they don't have an option on the roster and under control for at least the next 2 years in Luke Fortner, but because his drop in play and lack of improvement in year 2 throws that door wide open for speculation about looking at least options to replace him this offseason. And guard included in there, obviously. Ezra Cleveland, a free agent. Brandon Sheriff is an aging vet that could save $9 million by walking away from it. So there's the possibility that all 3 interior positions as starters could be open to some degree or another on this football team for a team that it wasn't very good at last year. So not only do they have to figure out what options they want to keep, but what improvement they can expect to see and how many of them need to be replaced.
I'm with you, and I did the same exact thing. Interior offensive line. It's a 3-for-1 kind of deal here. I don't know if they're going to do something about center. I think they should. I'd like to at least see competition brought in, even if it's not early, but you don't hear that kind of level of concern. Now, look, if the Jags are smart, they're not voicing that level of concern publicly, right? And they're not letting you know that, hey, that Jackson Powers Johnson kid could be a good fit in the middle of round 1, as a for instance. But as you said, right now, who is your left guard? We anticipate the right guard position opening up as well. You saw Pittsburgh make 3 salary cap moves yesterday. At some point, the Jags are going to start making these moves in the next few weeks with Brandon Sheriff and those type of players who've got those big cap numbers that you can save some money on. So, first round, absolutely a possibility. At any point in the draft, I could see multiple picks being given to this group. Then you've got to figure out, what do you have in Cooper Hodges? Is he somebody that can do anything for you? Do you try to bring Shatley back as a swing guy? There's so many different pieces here, and I think that's the easiest way to deal with it collectively. It is, look, I feel like whether it's Robinson and Harrison or Walker and Harrison, in some combination right and left side, they've got 2 tackles that they could play with right now on the roster. So whether Cam's here or not, that doesn't rise to this level of concern for me. And it's not just the protection for Trevor Lawrence, Tony. It's Travis Etienne going from 5.1 to 3.8 yards per carry. And I think it's a direct reflection on not being able to move guys up front. So I'm with you there 100%. Let's get Mike on the south side in before we hit a bottom of the hour break. Mike, you're on Jaguars Today. Good morning.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys. Hey, back to the discussion of whether to franchise Josh Allen or not. If they tag him, what's going to happen to Calvin Ridley? He's a free agent, right?
Yes, he is, and that's the big question, right? And that's why it would really behoove them to get the deal done with Josh Allen and preserve that franchise tag so they could use it on Ridley. Because otherwise, I mean, look, here's things you could do. I'm not saying this is wise. Okay, you could franchise tag Josh Allen. You could give Ridley a deal that keeps him off the market before he hits free agency. The problem with that is then you give up your second-round pick to Atlanta instead of your third. I don't think they have any interest in giving up their second-round pick in a deal to retain Calvin Ridley. So if you do franchise tag Josh Allen, then you're going to have to bid against the open market with Calvin Ridley. And, hopefully, look, there are reasons Ridley would just want to settle down, right? He's from Florida, another year in the system, more continuity with Trevor Lawrence, no state income tax, still a very competitive team. No matter how down we are right now, we're feeling bad about ourselves. They still had a winning record, and we're right there in the final week of the season to win the division and host a playoff game. So it's not a team that's that far out of having a chance to, be in the mix in the postseason at least. So there are reasons why Ridley might choose to come here. But then again, Tony, what if Kansas City's one of those bidders, and hey, we could use somebody opposite Rashee Rice out there, and let's try to run it back and hop on the gravy train and get number 1 for you and number 3 in a row for us. So absolutely, Mike. I mean, that's why it's so it'd be great if you could get a deal done with Josh Allen. I don't think it'll get done. Will Ridley factor into our countdown? He'll factor into mine in some degree here as we continue on throughout the hour. Pockets, as we head to break here, why don't we take caller number 6 at 641-1010 and give him, again, George Strait, Chris Stapleton, and who's the third act?
Little Big Town.
Little Big Town, man. That's the one. That's the one my wife's a big fan of. I've never heard of Little Big Town, but you probably have in the listening audience. So if you want to go see, what's the date on this concert again?
May the 11th.
May 11th. Wow, that's ways off. But sixth caller at 641-1010, Pockets will hook you up with a pair of tickets to that concert. And we'll have others given out throughout the course of the day here on 1010XL. So be patient. It's ringing right now. Pockets is doing some work. He'll get to you if you're ringing. He will deal with you in short order. We'll come back, continue the countdown. We'll take a look at Chad Ryder from NFL.com projecting what the Jags might do for the first 3 rounds of April's NFL draft. And Demetrius Harvey on the way from the Florida Times-Union in hour number 2 with Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark. I'm Mike Dempsey on Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Yum, yum. When you're driving around and you're filling up that tank, fill up that belly as well with Dandy sandwiches and subs. I love their classic tuna salad. I've been eating that recipe. Tuna salad has been fantastic for over a quarter of a century. Heck, probably 30 years now, going back to my college days even. And Danny's out there, man. They've been doing it for over 6.5 decades right here as a Jacksonville-based company. The Thompson family started the Dandy Corporation over 65 years ago. Sandwiches, subs, but they've expanded the menu. They've still got a lot of the classics. They always add things in there as well, but now you can get fruit cups, you can get veggie trays, you can get salads, you can get breakfast sliders or light lunchtime wraps. They've got something for everybody. In fact, you can go into a Gate location and not be surprised if you get over 30 delicious fresh options from Dandy. When you're hungry for food on the go, Dandy's an aim to know, so do what I do. Go out and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
It's a Jaguars Today Tuesday on 1010XL.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Brought to you by Dreamfinders Homes.
That's a fascinating little gadget. It's going to replace CDs soon, so I'll have to buy the White Album again.
What is this? It's a 1010XL.
The past is past, the future's now.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Look, it's kind of cooling down right now. I love opening my windows up this time of year. If you're looking to upgrade your windows in your home, I want you to visit the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Ask about their latest hurricane and impact-resistant windows and doors, rated #1 by Consumer Reports in all 3 main window categories. You want quality, style, and protection? Visit PellaJacks.com and the showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors online at PellaJacks.com.
Dave Binion here with my son Ammon, who is the air duct cleaning manager at Zero Res. So Ammon, you may notice a little rattle in my voice and some puffiness in my eyes. That's because allergy season is coming on. Can Zero Res help?
Yes, your health has a lot to do with the air you breathe. A clean and healthy home begins with clean air. At Zero Res, we can help clean the air in your home by cleaning your air ducts, cleaning the coils in your HVAC units, and fogging the system with a powerful antimicrobial that helps kill and control the growth of microorganisms in your air. We also have options for maintaining your clean air with our excellent inline air purifier and UV lights that will help keep your system clean and healthy. At Zero Res, we are more than just air duct cleaners. We're a clean air specialist.
So, what deals do you have this month?
Right now, get $100 off your air duct cleaning, and while we're at it, we'll give you $50 off your dryer vent cleaning.
Zero Res.
Spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res.
Denny Thompson here. Tackle burglars and protect your turf. Give yourself peace of mind catching everything around your home with Tyson Sound & Security's cutting-edge surveillance cameras. For safety and convenience, Tyson has you covered for all home cameras and security systems. I'm talking HD recording, night vision, and remote alerts all from your phone or computer. Call Tyson Sound & Security right now at 904-762-1000. Tyson Sound & Security. Security and automation experts.
Get ready for the Players' Championship, March 12th through 17th at TPC Sawgrass. Don't miss your chance to watch the PGA Tour's best compete to etch their name in history while enjoying a vibrant social scene. From local bites to the latest merchandise available in the PGA Tour fan shop, the Players offers the ultimate experience for everyone to enjoy. Secure your spot today. Tickets are on sale now at theplayers.com.
It's about the hunt.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Lagerman.
We take you from the water to the woods.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
Let's go to the woods, y'all.
Saturday mornings from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Visit Monahan Jewelers now through Valentine's Day for savings on all GIA certified diamonds and discounts store-wide up to 40% off. And interest-free financing on all purchases. Certified diamonds, gemstones, engagement rings, diamond studs, designer brands. Monahan's has it all. We're not a chain store. We're your local family jeweler since 1977 with a world-class inventory of fine jewelry and diamonds and gemstones available in any size. Support your local family jeweler now through Valentine's with huge savings on our inventory. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Business owners, regular maintenance of your storm drains is crucial for preventing parking lot floods and protecting your property from damage. Give Duck Duck Rooter a call today and schedule service with our VACCON team. 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckrooter.com.
Skilled trade jobs are booming, so begin your high-pay, high-demand career today through the Northeast Florida Builders Association. Their apprenticeship program provides paid training in some of the most highly sought-after skilled trades. Get paid while you train. Full-time in carpentry, electrical, HVAC, or plumbing. Plus, earn a 10% raise every year, and the classes are 100% tuition-free. Start your new career today and apply before June 10th at NEFPAapprenticeship.org.
Lauren Brooks here from Mayport CNC Fisheries. Growing up at the beach, I know good shrimp and oysters when I see them. It's local and it's fresh. That's why Mayport CNC Fisheries is my go-to for both. They have local shrimp in stock daily and fresh boxes of oysters. Eat like a local at Mayport CNC Fisheries.
It's time for some University of North Florida baseball. The Ospreys and the Florida Gators hit the diamond Tuesday, February 20th at Harmon Stadium. First pitch at 6. Reserve your seat now at unfospreys.com/tickets. Safe! They're going fast, so get yours today to see the Ospreys take on one of the nation's top teams in the Gators. unfospreys.com. unfospreys.com. Swoop!
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Who's that third act again? Is this them?
This is Stapleton.
Oh, is it? All right.
Jesse Whiskey.
Like I told you, I don't know. I've heard the name. Pockets, do a recap. I'm going to play you.
All right.
Okay? And you're going to play our winner of the tickets,
That was Darren.
Okay, Darren is the winner of the tickets today, so congratulations to Darren. We'll have more tickets to give away throughout the day here on 1010XL. All right, ring. Hey, congratulations. This is Dylan over at 1010XL. You are our 6th caller. You've won the tickets to the George Strait.
Woo! Yeah! Yeah, Pockets! Woo!
Yeah?
That's what I'm talking about, baby. My mom's going to be so happy for me.
Oh, nice. I love
That's exactly how he did it.
Is that right? I love
exactly how he did it.
Pockets has a fan for life now. Because he's the one who picked up the phone, and that's how it works, man. Good for him. I'd rather them go man. I hate how many times, Tony, over the years we tell these stories all the time. people win something. What did I get? What did I win?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, it drives me crazy.
All the time.
I mean, I don't care. We're giving it away anyway. I'm not keeping it, right? It doesn't matter. I'm not going to the concert. So we're happy to give away the tickets. I love that they went to somebody who is beside themselves, out of their mind, excited to go see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, we did that. I told you, we did that one at a Super Bowl, a Saturday show before the Super Bowl, where it might have been in Minneapolis, wherever it was, with Sirius XM, and we had a whole room full of people, and all these bags of, it was Tostitos was sponsoring it, and there was one bag of Tostitos, a little mini bag with a ticket on the bottom that basically said, "You're the winner." Literally one out of like this huge bin. And drunk lady first in line comes up and pulls it on the very first one.
Yeah.
What'd I win? And it was like J-Lo concert tickets for that night. And like, I don't care about going to see J-Lo in concert, but some people do.
Yeah.
You know, and guarantee, and this was like at noon. No way they made it.
Kill
They
all
were
the
so
drama.
they were so blotto at noon. She's telling her husband, "We got J-Lo." Okay, yeah, I'm going to be scraping you off the floor 30 minutes from now. But good luck. I'd sell them quick if I were you. But anyway, congrats to Darren. So he's got the tickets. All right, let's jump in with number 3 on the countdown. Then I want to take a peek at some other things as well. So pockets fired up, please.
Number 3.
Number 3, big countdown. What are the top 5 issues the Jaguars have to address this offseason? This is addressed. This is one of those touchy-feely ones. How do you know that you've addressed this? But for me, we already went, get Josh Allen done on a long-term deal, right? Number 2, we both agreed, interior offensive line. Number 3 for me, Trevor Lawrence figures out how to protect the football better, right? And I don't know how you figure that out in an offseason, right? But this is something that needs to get better between now and the start of the year. He needs to become a more efficient player, a guy who protects the ball more. Somebody asked me on the text line this morning, I said, hey, you said yesterday not many folks could win the Super Bowl with that Kansas City roster. Do you think Trevor's one of them? No, I don't. In fact,
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure any of them could. Right. That's
like
how good
maybe
Mahomes is.
Burrow with the way when he's hot right now.
Right,
maybe.
Maybe. I mean, under certain circumstances, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, there are certainly quarterbacks that are really, really
the list is
accomplished.
really small. It may be one.
It may be none.
Yeah.
It literally may be none. So, no, I do not put Trevor in that class right now, that he could elevate that team. That's the one thing he had. He had probably better at least a comparable pass-catching complement that he had. Because I think he had better receivers. Obviously, Kelsey is as good as Evan Ingram is. The running backs, call it a push, whatever. It doesn't matter. Not to get too bogged down in that. Trevor Lawrence has said himself that's what he needs to cut down on the turnovers, right? It's the fumbles. It's the ill-timed interceptions in the opponent's territory. It's just, in general, they seem to come in bunches for him, Tony. He needs to become – I don't want to lose the gunslinger, right? He's got to still be the guy who – how did he get that ball to vaporize right through 2 defensive backs into Calvin Ridley's hands? You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like where it's like –
Week 1 against Indianapolis.
It's almost like a trick of the light. Like how did that ball get by those guys? He's got the ability to make rare throws, and I don't want to neuter that ability, but damn it, man. You can't, sometimes discretion's a better part of valor. I don't know how you do it exactly, but one of the big tales of how far the Jags will go in 2024, in my opinion, will be how much Trevor Lawrence can modulate his amount of turnovers to limit them. Look, it's one thing if you're late in the half and you're trying to be aggressive and throwing it downfield, fine, whatever. But just got to be more efficient than he has been. And put it this way, it's got to be a much stronger touchdown to interception, touchdown to turnover ratio. You got to have more productivity. You can throw 10 picks if you're offsetting it with 30-plus touchdowns, right? So it's got to be that ratio's got to be more in his favor. So that's number 3 for me.
I wasn't sure where I was going to have this on my list until I saw some numbers, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's pushing up the list for me.
Okay.
Because it was certainly something that I was thinking about when we had the idea for the list. I don't even know exactly how to say it. 3 technique, defensive tackle, 3 forehand, however you want to call it, right? But somebody that gives them some kind of production from that position, I think it's a major priority for this team. And with Allen and Walker listed obviously as outside linebackers, so players on their depth chart that are listed as defensive linemen or defensive end, Here's the production they got out of him last year. 5.5 sacks from all of them. 14 tackles for loss. What the hell? Right? Like, from an NFL team to be getting that low of production from a group of 8, 9, 10 bodies, right? Everybody is accounted in that. That's not listed as an outside linebacker, so you don't get credit for Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. Unfortunately, you don't get Kayvon Chason, which would have almost doubled all your production, right? Like, they are so miserably low in production from anybody of those 3 interior defensive linemen giving them anything as far as production of affecting the other team's offense. That is a major question mark, and it's not because they didn't pay the money. They've been willing to spend for the last 2 years on that position. They just got absolutely nothing out of it, especially last year.
Got to spend on the right guys for sure. All right, there you go. Tony, interior defense or defensive line, just pass rush on the down lineman.
Yeah.
And
I'm playing a 3-4, yeah.
Right, and I'm going with Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, reducing the turnovers. Josh Allen can't do it all in one off season.
That's
just
your Trent
all by
Baalke.
himself.
Josh Allen.
That's where I'm stuck right now. All right, so send us your top 5 if you'd like. We'll read through some of those in the final segment of the show today. You can hit us up on social media with that. We're asking you the top 5 issues the Jags need to address this offseason for your Tuesday top 5. We're, about 30 minutes away from Demetrius Harvey coming your way here on Jaguars Today. So let's take a quick peek at Chad Ryder doing a 3-round mock over at NFL.com. We talked to Chad last week. He said he'd have this coming out right after the Super Bowl, and we specifically asked him about Jackson Powers Johnson. Tony, the guy with 3 last names. Can you trust a guy with 3 last names? Oftentimes you get the 3-name guy, but rare is it the 3 last names. But anyway, Jackson Powers Johnson in this one, he had the Eagles, as he told us he was going to have, trading ahead of the Jags to take him 1 pick before Jacksonville can get their grubby little paws on him. Not that I think they're going to go that way. I think it would at this point, granted that I'm not a film studier of offensive linemen, but based on what the draft Nick community is saying about him, I would be fine with him as the Jaguars' middle of the first round selection. He's got him going Brian Thomas, wide receiver out of LSU, and says if Calvin Ridley departs in free agency, which he very well may, the Jags need a downfield presence to complement Christian Kirk and Parker Washington underneath. Keeping in mind, we might not have Zay Jones here, depending on the cap situation as well. So it's got him going Brian Thomas in round 1 for the Jaguars out of LSU. A lot of people really like him. I've seen him quite frequently in the top 20 picks in mock drafts right now. All right, so moving on to the second round for the Jags. Javon Foster, Missouri offensive tackle, who's a senior. Now, again, is he projecting Cam Robinson's not a part of the mix here? You know, it's hard to know what the Jags are going to specifically need on the offensive line until we see how things play out before the start of the league year. But for now, he's got him going Javon Foster. And then one thing I appreciated from Chad here is that he is paying attention with the trade with Atlanta. He has the Jags' 3rd-round pick transferring to the Falcons, but he does give the Jags a 3rd-round compensatory pick and one of the higher ones based on losing Jawan Taylor last year, which obviously makes a lot of sense. Let me see who they had for the Jags here with the Atlanta pick, just out of curiosity. I know he had it transferring to the Falcons. Here it is, Malachi Corley, a wide receiver out of Western Kentucky. Well, we've already addressed that in round 1, Tone, so we're fine there. But with the compensatory pick, Xavier Thomas, an edge rusher out of Clemson, going to the Jags with the 96th pick. Look, I don't know. Edge rush, I feel like I'd love for them to add some edge rush, but I felt like last year it was clearly like maybe the top need of the football team. Now it just feels like you got so many things, especially if you invest a big number in Josh Allen and you've got a rising Trevon Walker. Can you afford to go edge rusher with a premium pick? I mean, they always say you can't have too many of them, but you got to be able to field a team at some of these other spots as well, and it's not. And we still need corner help, for instance.
They're deficient in a lot of places. Their top 2 guys as pass rushers got the job done, right? And it's not that you can't still look to help that position
Correct.
out, especially in the draft, right? Like that may be how the draft falls, so you still have that in mind for the Jags going into the draft, but it doesn't feel like it did last offseason with the what the heck are you doing? But part of the what the heck are you doing was Josh Allen hadn't had that big year. Trayvon Walker hadn't had a double-digit sack year. Like, those things just happen. It brings the need for that down, but it doesn't mean that it can't still be addressed.
There was a mock. Was it a PFF? You see the 2-round mock that they put out yesterday, and it was I forget how they put it, but basically had him taking an edge rusher and said it would mitigate some of the issues with Trayvon Walker or something like that. Like, can we not at least be happy that the guy we took number 1 overall did have a double-digit sack season in year 2?
Right.
I mean, it does seem like at least the arrow's pointing in the correct direction for Trayvon Walker, whether or not he should have been the pick with that pick. He is the pick. He's the guy now. And he did take a significant step forward in terms of production last year. So I thought that was a little bit odd, going with a pure edge guy as a first-round projection right there. But not completely uncommon. We've seen it out there. All right, we'll continue the countdown on the other side of the issues the Jags need to address. Tony will take you around the rest of the National Football League. Demetrius Harvey about 25 minutes away from the Florida Times-Union talking Jags all season as well. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today Tuesday on 1010XL is brought to you by Dreamfinders Homes.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
The station that covers the Jaguars day in and day out.
It's not the old Jaguars team. We're not pushovers, so we're going to fight back.
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Pickett here. When it comes to your eye health, you want to make the winning move. That's where Bow 9 Associates comes in. February, it's the month of love. And what better way to show some love than taking care of your family's vision? Bow 9 isn't just about seeing clearly. They're about making sure your eye game is in its prime. And folks, they got not 1, not 2, but 3 convenient locations across town. I call that home court advantage. So call Bow 9 Associates and schedule your winning eye exam. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
When you think about a metal roof, think Prime Roofing. Prime Roofing is Jacksonville's local contractor that manufactures, fabricates, and installs metal roofs. Schedule today at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
Your AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. FloridaHomeAC.com.
Lower mortgage rates are here, and smart homeowners are wiping out all their credit card debt with help from Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Right now, Loan Pronto has a cash-out refinance rate of just 5.49%. You heard me. That's a huge drop. So you can get refinanced now, get cash out of your home's equity to wipe out all those credit cards and other high-interest loans. You can save hundreds every month with lower payments. Or, if you still have a mortgage rate in the 3s, you can use Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit. Just get the cash you need and leave your primary mortgage intact. Loan Pronto can get you $50, $75, $100, even $200,000 in just a matter of days. Bottom line, Loan Pronto's got several options to help you erase debt and take control of your finances. Call today, and you can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. Call Loan Pronto now at 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508, or loanpronto.com, 999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, 5.49%, has 6.39 APR, subject to lender approval.
Hi, this is Carrie, the office coordinator at the dental practice of Dr. James J. McCall. Dr. McCall, along with me and my fellow team members, are committed to making your visit to the dentist a pleasant one. From scheduling, filing insurance, or reviewing treatment options, you're always our number 1 priority. When we say join our dental family, we believe it in our hearts. If you are looking for a dentist in a warm and relaxed atmosphere, call the dental office of Dr. McCall at 620-9225.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Frank Frangie here. I was born and raised in Jacksonville, and I love living here. But I also know how bad bugs are in Florida. So I trust Orange Environmental Services to handle all my pest control needs because they've got the best technicians and effective treatment. Their name may be orange, but they think green. Orange Environmental has been serving the First Coast for over 50 years, and they now offer complete lawn maintenance services. Call Orange Environmental Services for peace of mind from bug problems today. Call them at 272-3284. That's 272-3284.
You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Muhammad Ali, the legendary boxer and charismatic icon. His unyielding spirit inside the ring and fearless advocacy outside inspired a generation. Ali, a symbol of strength, conviction, and the power of resilience. It's Black History Month on 1010XL. I'm E.T., and this profile is brought to you by Instant Keys. Fast, honest, reliable locksmith service.
Make a crucial catch against colon cancer. Hicken here for the Borland Groover Foundation. If you're 45 or older, the ball is in the red zone to get screened. The key to surviving colon cancer, early detection and prevention. 45 is the new 50. Get screened for colon cancer now. The Borland Groover Foundation is a nonprofit organization devoted to building a healthy and equitable community that is free from colon cancer. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
The Florida Forum welcomes 4-star Admiral James Stavridis, February 26th. Funds raised for a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transfer more than 2,200 infants and children a year to Wolfson Children's Hospital. To get your tickets, call 202-2886, 202-2886, or thefloridaforum.com, thefloridaforum.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. Brought to you by Southern Oak Insurance. Gators men's basketball currently sits in a 3-way tie for 5th with Kentucky and Texas A&M in the SEC standings, only one game behind 4th place. UF still riding high after their big victory over Auburn, host LSU in the O-Dome tonight, with Florida winning the last 7 out of 10 games between the two teams. Tip-off is at 8. You can listen to the game live on 1010XL. After a devastating loss for the FSU men's hoops to Virginia on Saturday, they are all aware that there is no room for error when they take on Virginia Tech tonight. Head coach Leonard Hamilton adjusts the urgency for his team to turn the season around quickly.
Much more room for error as we go on the road. We got to learn from this game, and we got to go into Blacksburg, and we got to try to come away with a victory.
Tip-off starts at 9 tonight for the Noles. It's 58 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
You know, PFT just put out a little thing this morning about one of the bad refereeing calls that could have marred the Chiefs' final drive of regulation. Do you remember the play, Tone? Travis Kelce catches what looks like a first down, right? And then all of a sudden, like, you get up there and Mahomes has a short run on what you think is 1st and 10, and they're saying that's another 1st and 10.
Yeah.
Like, how would that happen? Because they ruled that They spotted the ball like 2 yards short of where Kelce actually got to, and they called it 2nd and 1, which honestly, the way it worked out probably helped the Chiefs, right? Because sometimes you'd rather have that 2nd and 1 than a fresh set of downs because it's like picking up 9 yards, boom, on first down. But at that circumstance, what if you get a bad snap? There were a bunch of snaps, by the way, in that game. Mahomes was picking them up off his ankles all day.
Oh, yeah.
Creed Humphrey, greatest center in the world, right? I mean, he has got a reputation of being maybe the best in the league, but he was rolling that thing back to Mahomes half the day, it seemed like.
Well, and that tells you it's why something like PFF can be helpful, because PFF on the grade on the players they're going to bad play, right, for Creed. Like, bad play. From the
Right.
public, they're saying, that's the best center in the league, and they just won a Super Bowl. What are you criticizing?
Right.
Right? Like, that's the public perception of Creed Humphrey. I didn't feel like he played all that well on Sunday, but he played well enough for them to win.
Right. And honestly, I don't know about the rest of his game, but there are a lot of ones where Mahomes is just like deftly scooping it up
several times. Yeah.
like right off his shoelaces. It seemed like wow, and some big plays too.
Yeah.
Like holy smokes, man!
And I do think PFF, as far as grading offensive line play, that's the weakest thing that they do because they can't know the assignments for everyone on play, that kind of thing. Like, it's hard to grade that without knowing the play.
Right.
And what someone's being asked to do. I think you can grade when you see, oh, it's one-on-one, he beat that guy. When? Right? Like, I think you can grade those kind of things, and keeping all that together, I think it's helpful. That's a useful tool for fans and teams to have access to that information. But as far as offensive line play especially, like, you can't know what the assignment was.
No, that being said, I know Trent Williams, several people pointed out to me, Trent Williams had more penalties than Jawan Taylor in the game.
A bunch.
Right? But he, according to PFF, he graded out over 90% in pass and run blocking, which is very hard to do in the same game. He said he's going to play a couple more years. Oh, man.
Good for them.
I wish we could have gotten
him.
I mean, he was on our wish list like 3 years ago, whatever it was.
List,
He was. Oh, well. Can't have everything, or, in fact, many things, apparently. Let's go around the rest of the National Football League here.
Now, Gems Around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
The torn Achilles for San Francisco linebacker Drake Greenlaw has been confirmed after further testing. Greenlaw will be entering the final year of his deal with the 49ers in 2024, and the team could save $6.8 million on their cap if they were to move on from him this year, as he now enters the offseason having to recover from that Achilles injury, despite some talk that Kansas City head coach Andy Reid might be thinking about retirement if the Chiefs were to win the Super Bowl for a second consecutive year on Sunday and get Reid his third title in 5 seasons now with the Chiefs, which now leaves him only trailing Bill Belichick 6 and Chuck Noll's 4 on the all-time list with Super Bowl rings. Andy himself has already said that he will be back in 2024 to try to become the first team to ever win 3 Super Bowls in a row, and the Pittsburgh Steelers and quarterback Mason Rudolph have mutually agreed to part ways.
All right, let's continue our countdown of the top 5 issues the Jaguars need to address this offseason.
Number 4.
There it is, with a pause for dramatic effect right there. All right, I went with Josh Allen getting re-signed to a long-term deal, interior offensive line. Those were my top 2. Same with you.
Yes.
My number 3 was Trevor Lawrence becoming more efficient, protecting the football more, finding a way to cut down on the turnovers. Again, it's not something that you can definitely define by anything that happens this offseason. The evidence will be during the regular season. Your number 3 was?
My 3 was defensive line, 3 technique, whatever you want to call it. Somebody on the defensive line that can give them impact as a pass rusher.
All right, what's your number 4?
Number 4, I don't even know how to word it. Is there a top-of-the-depth chart wide receiver on the roster?
My number 4 is figure out wide receiver.
Right. In 2020, like, is there a guy that you feel like is the top-of-the-depth chart wide receiver? And if there isn't, then how do they put together the room to be as effective as they can be? Because I do think there's the real possibility that there's just not one there, right? Calvin Ridley, I think, is going to hit free agency because of the way the Josh Allen thing is going to go, and I'm doubtful that he winds up back in Jacksonville if he hits free agency. When everything is said and done, I don't think Higgins is hitting free agency. I don't think Mike Evans is hitting free agency.
Michael Pittman?
Yeah.
Do anything for you?
I don't think he's hitting free agency. Yeah. Like, I think Indianapolis is bringing him back on the tag if that's what they have to do.
I tend to agree with the top 3 guys, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, since he's got over $60 million in cap space,
I think there's a real possibility that the best available to you could be Marquise Brown, and I don't think he's a bad player. And I don't think it's, if Calvin Ridley isn't here, that you don't consider Marquise Brown coming in. But you have to rethink what that wide receiver room is going to look like if you're bringing in Marquise Brown, right? To be a guy that you're adding to the room. I think it likely means that Zay Jones, who they could move on from this offseason, is here for his 3rd year on that contract if they can't figure out something with Calvin Ridley. If they get Calvin back, I think they can move on from Zay and figure something else out at that 3rd or 4th wide receiver spot. But if they can't, I think Zay comes back and they figure whether that be Gabe Davis or a Marquise, as we were just talking about, whether it be that's the way they do it, but trying to figure out what that would look like, or rookie. Like Brian Thomas, who we just saw in that mock to him in the first round, but I don't think he comes in and he's that's the one. Right?
Maybe not the one, but I could see that guy being in the starting lineup from day one.
He rearranges the room for him, and that's kind of where I was like, how do I word this? Like,
right.
It's more, what does the wide receiver depth chart look like? Because there are options to get a guy that you can feel confident is that's the one. Going into the season, I think the options there are so slim. It's basically Calvin Ridley are the options that they're going to have to make that kind of thing happen on their depth chart this offseason.
See, I think you could take a guy, if you're taking a guy at 17 in the draft, again, you only get one first-round pick. You can't address all these positions. But if they did go with wide receiver there, I think you're taking a guy that you think in short order is your number one. Whether that's immediately. Yeah. Right. It may not be immediately, but he's got to produce like, maybe not a 1,200-yard guy right out of the gates, but he's got to be able to walk into the starting lineup. Otherwise, what are we doing?
If they draft a guy in the first round, he's going to be one of the 3 starters.
To me, he should be one of the top 2 most prolific receivers, along with Christian Kirk, if you're taking a guy at that spot. Now, it's different if you bring it back Calvin Ridley on a short-term deal and you're still drafting a guy pretty highly. Then you ease the pressure on that guy to perform at a high level immediately.
Yeah. You walk away from Zay, and he's at worst your 3.
At worst, you're 3. Maybe more important as the season plays out, right? And that's the thing. It's not just Ridley. It's in part Ridley. He's like the first domino you've got to figure out in this whole chain. That's why if you could get the long-term deal done with Josh Allen, that
simplifies things.
This would be, franchise Ridley, Tone, and go draft a receiver in the first 3 rounds. Doesn't have to be in the first round. And now you got Ridley for a year, maybe just a year, right? But Ridley for a year, Kirk, and a top 3 round receiver, plus Evan Ingram, who just caught over 100 balls, and you're still going to run the ball with Travis Etienne, and you can improve everybody's fortunes by working on that offensive line a little bit. That may be the best case scenario for the weapons that the Jags are able to throw on the field this year, but you got to figure it out step by step. You got to figure out the Josh Allen thing, because then, okay, we don't have the franchise tag. What can we get done with Ridley? How much does he want to stay here in the same environment? Right. And if not him, like, even if you get a Gabe Davis or a Marquise Brown, that to me is and I know Brown's numbers have been decent, but I feel like those guys are a little bit more one-dimensional field stretchers. I think Brown's a little bit more of a complete receiver, but he's not.
He really stretches the field.
He's right, but he's not an NFL 1.
No.
Right? And so I would want that bigger 6'2" or larger, big-bodied complement. If you had Kirk in the slot and you had a guy like Brown or Gabe Davis stretching the field on the outside, and you had that big-bodied red zone target, 80-catch guy, that could be something pretty interesting. But you got to figure it out regardless. That's our number 4 on the list. And the shame of it is, this offseason, there's so many things. We're going to leave some important things off the list here today because you just can't get to them all.
No, yeah.
With 5 things that you've got to address here. We've got Demetrius Harvey coming up. Let me get a call in before we hit the break here with Demetrius from the Florida Times-Union on the other side. Mike, you're next up here on Jaguars Today. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, fellas. How are you?
We're well. What's up?
I was thinking, our biggest need definitely is offensive linemen, and I look at it from a value standpoint. If we get a defensive lineman, if we get a wide receiver, they're not, an impact player every down. And as you guys know, the offensive line's a domino effect. It affects the running game, Trevor, turnovers. So I think from an impact, as far as every down on the offensive line, you get that impact player every down.
Yeah, look, that was number 2 on our list behind getting something done with Josh Allen, addressing at least the interior. Mm-hmm. You can argue the Cam Robinson situation is one of the top 5 things. Do you keep him? Do you restructure him? Do you let him go, save $16 million against the cap, shuffle your tackles, use that $16 million to maybe plug a couple of other holes, maybe on the offensive line? There are a lot of ways to do it, but there are also part of me in the back of my mind is like, at some point, I hope we get Trevor Lawrence as a fully realized true franchise quarterback. Because, granted, the pressure got to Mahomes, I thought, a little bit in the first half, but Did they not play without all-pro guard Joe Thuney for the last 2 games against the number 1 seed in the AFC and the NFC?
Sure.
And win that game? Right? I mean, in both of those games. So, granted, we all agree with you, Mike. Offensive line needs to be better. Trevor Lawrence is not Patrick Mahomes at this point. But you also, if you got a hole at left guard, which clearly the Chiefs have had in the postseason, you got to be able to overcome that with quarterback play in today's NFL.
Yeah.
And scheming up blocking schemes and different things like that. But no question, offensive line. If it weren't for the fact that Josh Allen you can't afford to lose the impact that he gave you last year. O-line, I think, would be on the top of many people's list, if not already on the top of a lot of people's list. So,
agreed.
Not disagreeing with you at all there, Mike. Demetrius Harvey will tell us which free agent lineman the Jags should be interested in retaining. He joins us next from the Florida Times-Union. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Pretty soon we'll have the entire 1010XL crew on Awaken 180. You know why? It's effective. It works. Awaken 180 will not only help you lose weight fast, but they'll help you keep that weight loss where it is. Keep that weight off. Don't put it back on. Don't yo-yo. It's not a diet. It's not one of those starvation type situations. You eat to lose weight with Awaken 180. They've got a team of experts ready to give you the support you need to tweak their program to fit your lifestyle. With great coaching and great support, you're going to lose 4 to 5 pounds a week guaranteed, and probably a lot more when you initially start out. I lost 9.5 pounds. I've heard upwards of 13 pounds in the first week just from people I know on the Awaken 180 weight loss program. How do you get started? Call 844-346-1800. 844-346-1800. If you've had weight to lose, maybe you've lost it in the past and put it back on and you're tired of it, now's the time to draw that line in the sand with Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL Jaguars Today Tuesday is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes. Homes built to fit your lifestyle.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Ready? I'm fight for it!
This is 1010XL.
Fire!
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Start your new year off healthy. Get screened at Ackerman Urology for common cancers of the prostate, bladder, and kidney. Early detection is key with 5 locations across Northeast Florida. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
The First Coast Games is an annual corporate challenge to introduce fun activities into the workplace and focus on your employees' health and wellness goals, with some friendly competition, of course. Registration is now open through the First Coast YMCA for both recreational and challenge divisions, including pickleball, cornhole, volleyball, flag football, and other team sports. The games will begin in March. Register your company and teams at fcymca.org.
If you have had problems selling your home or haven't even bothered selling because of the problems that you would expect, here's a promise for you. Chad and Sandy of chadandsandy.com guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Simple as that, right? So if maybe you are worried about selling for less money, or maybe you want maximum equity from your home but not sure how, they have the answers, the solutions, the promises to take care of all that. Take it from Debbie in Orange Park. I was going through a divorce and needed to be close to family quickly. I was going to sell my home to an instant offer investor for $375, but I heard about Chad and Sandy on the radio and decided to call. Thank goodness. Chad and Sandy got me $45,000 more in just 3 days. Call the only agents we're trusting and recommending. Call Chad and Sandy at chadandsandy.com. The number is 904-414-6200, or you can go to chadandsandy.com. That's chadandsandy.com.
Is your roof showing signs of wear and tear? Well, don't wait for problems to escalate. Call Universal Roofing Contracting today to schedule your complimentary roof inspection. Right now, get 15% off roof replacement or repairs, plus flexible financing. This offer expires February 29th and restrictions apply. Universal Roofing Contracting, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com.
Get ready for the Players' Championship, March 12th through 17th at TPC Sawgrass. Don't miss your chance to watch the PGA Tour's best compete to etch their name in history while enjoying a vibrant social scene. From local bites to the latest merchandise available in the PGA Tour Fan Shop, The Players offers the ultimate experience for everyone to enjoy. Secure your spot today. Tickets are on sale now at theplayers.com.
A judge has a gavel. I've got a hammer. I'm Hayes Carlian. It's Hammer Time with Hayes. Weekdays on The Frangie Show on 1010XL. Brought to you by Golden Hammer Roofing and Gutters, the golden standard in roofing.
Toilet or shower not draining? Water bill high? So many issues you want to cry? Call Mr. Rooter of Jacksonville. Have your number 2 business serviced by your number 1 plumber. Let us do your dirty work. Call us today.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. I know Honda, they're so cool on the road and off the road, but guess what? Tell them about them being on the water.
There is an all-new Honda boat coming out. We went out and partnered with Scout, who's been making the finest holes in the business for years. They're fuel-efficient, dynamic, and class-leading.
So Honda is in the boat business, and you will see boats coming to Cycles of Jacksonville soon.
We will have them in the spring, ready to go.
CyclesofJacksonville.com. Keep track of all of it. Find them on Atlantic near Regency.
Score big with your sweetheart with specials at Southern Steer Butcher. Valentine's Day special listed on our website. Pre-order now for Valentine's Day. SouthernSteerButcher.com.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Are you looking for increased privacy and protection for your family and pets? Look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Superior Fence and Rail is Jacksonville's top-rated fence company, delivering the highest quality fence products. They'll treat your property as if it's their own. So get off the fence and get your privacy back. Call Superior Fence and Rail today for your on-site estimates.
When you're on the fence about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O. If you want high-quality H2O in your home, call your local water boy, Keith, at Kenai Water Jacksonville. That's Kenai Water Jacksonville.
A no-risk, all-rewards path to real weight loss. If you're not happy with your Awaken 180 results in the first week, get 100% of your money back. No risk, but every reward. With the solution for weight loss, Awaken180weightloss.com.
American Electrical is looking for bright minds and hard workers to help light up North Florida. This community continues to grow, and now you can grow your career with a company that will make sure you succeed through commitment. American Electrical even has its own academy dedicated to training select students in the electrical trade, and the best news, it's free of charge. Log on to American-Electrical.com to find out more. They're leading the way in electrical contractors on the First Coast. American-Electrical.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Oh, yeah. Fixing them. Fixing the Jags today. Just follow the blueprint, Tony. It's not that hard. Of course, we all know what the blueprint could be. A lot of the moves they need to make, or at least we feel they need to make. Will they get those done? Time will tell. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, joined now by Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union. Demetrius, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right. You know, wishing it was the Jags in the wake of celebrating a Super Bowl championship.
We
but
were
one day
talking about a parade route today.
Yeah,
that'd be
absolutely.
fun.
We'd be on a parade
with the jet
route
skis
today.
and everything.
It'd be fantastic. But hey, you know, we are where we're at, and that's with 30 other teams looking up at the Kansas City Chiefs. So today, Tony and I are talking about the top 5 things the Jags need to address this offseason issues. You did a piece that came out, I believe, yesterday on free agents that they need to consider retaining, some more important than others, obviously. Look, we all know Josh Allen's a priority for this team. Well, what's your best guess on how the summer plays out with him?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I feel like, the Evan Ingram situation last year was a pretty good idea of how the Jaguars might handle situations like that in the future. And so I do think that Josh Allen's contract situation could be extended into the June, almost July months, just because of, that's sort of how they have, at least historically, shown to negotiate contracts. So, franchise tag him prior to the deadline and then sort of play it out from there. I think that to them, maybe that makes sense just because they get a little bit of extra time to sort of let it play out.
Do you like them handling it that way, or is there would you prefer them get the extension done now, even if that means giving him $30 million a year, and then figure something else with Calvin Ridley?
To me, because of the situation they have with Ridley and other free agents and wanting to get these things done on time, I feel like I would have already had signed Josh, maybe even last November or sometime before the season or whatever it may be. Even if you wanted him to play out his fifth-year option, I thought that getting him signed before the end of the season would have been pretty fruitful. I mean, we see guys sign in season all the time. Montez Sweat signed in season. I believe the Packers, I'm completely blanking on his name. I think Gary, he re-signed. He re-signed in the season, so I don't see any reason why they opted not to. I would have absolutely had him signed up before, and then at least at this point you can sort of play around with Calvin Ridley. You might say, can we use the franchise tag and save that second round pick, or is there like another loophole that you can't get around, or whatever it may be? You would just have more options, and so I think that re-signing before this situation unfolded would have been fruitful.
No matter what they ultimately do, Demetrius, they have to know what these options are, right? They're not, people are like, oh, Trent Baalke's an idiot, right? He's not like it's not like he can't read. You know what I mean? He knows the basics of it. You only have one franchise tag. So do you think, and I understand what you're saying, maybe the blueprint's too strong a word for the way it went down the path with Evan Ingram, but do you think they at least make the effort to see if they can close the gap between themselves and Allen's camp? We don't even know how big the gap is, before the deadline comes to apply the tag. Do they at least make the effort, in your opinion?
Yeah, for all we know, they sign a contract tomorrow. I mean, that's not going to happen, but to your point, there is an opportunity to get a deal done. I mean, they were negotiating with Evan Ingram's team early this time last year as well, and there was at one point that seemed like they were going to be close, and then it just wasn't, and that's sort of what Evan alluded to when he did sign. He thought it would be close at one point, and then all of a sudden it wasn't, and so now they were at the point that they were at. So absolutely, I do think that there's an opportunity for the Jaguars to re-sign Josh Allen before all of this stuff sort of takes place. And I also completely agree that Trent Baalke is not an idiot. He's not sitting around confused on, oh wow, the franchise tag deadline is next week.
Right?
I didn't know. He understands all of this, trust me, and he thinks that this is the best way to play it. This is the best way to save the franchise money potentially, and also to get a deal that's perfect for both sides. And I think he has a very strong sense of value, at least his own sense of value, and he's going to stick to it.
If they use the tag on Allen, which is what we expect at this point, at minimum they're going to do, but if they have to use the tag on Allen, what are the chances that Calvin Ridley is back here in Jacksonville?
Yeah, I really think that if they have to use the tag on Allen and they have to let Calvin sort of test the market, I still think it's about 50-50 because I do know that the Jaguars want him back. I mean, they wouldn't have traded for him if they didn't like him a lot. They wouldn't talk him up this whole time if they didn't like him a pretty good bit. Yeah, there's some things that he needs to get better at, but I mean, for him coming off of 2 years basically, I thought he had a pretty good season. I do think that it's about 50-50 because at the end of the day, as Calvin said, it's going to be a lot about money. So you're going to need to be able to pay this guy whatever he wants, pretty much $18 million, whatever it's going to be, because he's going to be one of the top wide receivers on the market. So to me, I do think that there's a chance that he'll come back, and it's not a small chance, but it's really going to just depend on who's out there, what he's asking for, and what other teams are willing to offer.
I can be really bad at projecting these numbers. Right? I remember a few years ago, Corey Davis, Tony signed that 3-year, $30 million deal with the Jets, and I'm like, well, DJ Chark's every bit the receiver that Corey Davis is, and DJ Chark barely got a sniff. So I feel like, Demetrius, if I thought Ridley would take $18 million. I'd have that thing lined up for him as soon as the clock struck midnight. Do you think that's a fair number? Something in that Christian Kirk range? Go ahead.
I do, and I think that makes sense for both sides. And it doesn't have to be a super long-term deal. It can be a 3-year deal where Ridley's going to be about age 32 when he's next up, and then he can go out there and sort of get paid again, depending, that'll be his last contract probably. So I do think that $18 million range, maybe approaching 20, would make sense to me. I mean, it's not like he is produced at this level, year after year after year, he's not a guy who is getting younger. So I do think that would make more sense than, sign him to a $24 or $25 million deal.
Do you think they're able to get a deal done with Ezra Cleveland before free agency opens?
Yeah, he's another guy that I have on that list, and I feel like they traded for him, a 6th-round pick. They talked a lot about his versatility. Played left tackle he started at left tackle for the team at one point. I mean, that just goes to show how much they trust him, at least. So to me, I feel as though that's one of the players that they're definitely going to earmark and try to get back. I don't think he should be too expensive. He has had valuable years with the Vikings, but to me, if somebody was going to be willing to pay him in a crazy amount of money this offseason, they would have traded more than a 6th-round pick for him, right? So to me, I feel like the Jaguars sort of have that in the bag if they want him back, and I guess we'll just see how it plays out.
Would you want him back? Like, if you're in charge, do you think it's a good move?
I think so. I think that him coming back, especially, it's not necessarily what he showed last year, because he didn't show a ton. It's not like we were sitting there thinking, oh man, elite play out of Ezra Cleveland every week. But he showed enough to me. I feel like if you're going to have depth, you're not getting younger at that position. Tyler Shatley to me could retire. Brandon Sheriff could be cut. And then what else do you have as depth? You already got rid of Ben Barch. So there's not much out there. I feel like bringing back a guy who's in your system who you like just makes sense.
What are your thoughts on Trey Herndon?
Yeah, and then the last guy, Trey Herndon, he, to me, I don't know if this is the same way for you guys, but I was kind of surprised to see he's only 27 years old. I thought you would think he would be a little bit older. He kind of seems that way just in interviews and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, this guy's been with the team since 2018. It seems like every year that he's been on the field, he gets better. I thought that he was pretty good last year. I mean, considering everything else around him. And I know he only played on passing downs near the end of the run, but I still feel like he's not going to be too expensive. And again, you're sitting with a situation where Darius Williams, Tyson Campbell are both going to be free agents next year after 2024 if you don't re-sign them. So you're already going to be down a bunch of defensive backs in 2025 potentially. So you want to go ahead and bring back a guy who can, give you depth, allow you to play him at nickel if you need to at some point, and sort of move forward with that rotation.
Talking here with Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union. You mentioned Tyson Campbell. Like, a lot of people now are saying, oh, we should have given Josh Allen the contract last year, could have saved some money. Well, you could do that with Tyson, but if you do that, there are going to be people going, well, wait a minute now. He's a lot of potential, but he hasn't proven it. It's always that, do I strike soon or do I wait and make him prove it a little bit? What would your approach be? What do you think their approach will be as well with Tyson this offseason?
I think that they're going to let him play. I mean, they let Josh play. They let other players play. So it makes sense. They're going to let him play out his deal and sort of reevaluate afterward. Will they have to use a franchise tag, things like that. I don't see them signing him to a long-term deal. And honestly, if you're Tyson, it might behoove you to go ahead and play this year, because I don't think he's going to get as much money as he would have gotten maybe after the second year, for example. So, I do think they're going to sort of let that play out and reevaluate after the season.
We've talked through the in-house options that are scheduled to be free agents here in about a month, but where do you expect them to focus their money in free agency outside of the building?
Yeah, that's going to depend obviously on who hits free agency, but a defensive tackle, I feel like it's still something that they can hit on pretty hard. Obviously, if Chris Jones comes free, that's something pretty easily you would go after, but I don't think he's necessarily going to. Christian Wilkins would be interesting to me, a guy from Miami who's played well at times. Now, would he cost a lot? Yeah. And so you have to sort of reevaluate that position group. What are you doing with Foley Fatukasi? Is Roy Robertson Harris somebody that you're going to continue moving forward with? Guys like that. So, but yeah, I think that focusing on the offensive and defensive lines, that's sort of where you can kind of expect at least something to happen. Maybe depth purposes, it might not be a star player, but it's going to be something there. So they can get more depth. They have to, right? So,
bro, if they sign Christian Wilkins, I may swoon. Are you kidding me? I has played well at times. That guy is a beast, man. I think Christian Wilkins is outstanding. I would love to have Christian Wilkins on this football. I am not allowing myself to dream that dream right now. Because here's the thing, Demetrius, as we know, They don't have the money right now to even apply the franchise tag to Josh Allen. Now, you can create it, okay? And the biggest chip in this whole thing, and assuming, Brandon Sheriff is one that we think they'll move on from to get the cap savings.
Sure.
What's your best guess as of today, February 13th? Happy early Valentine's Day. Will Cam Robinson be a part of this roster this year?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth about this for so long, and I mean, to me, it makes sense for him to be back, but he's not going to be back at that number. I can't believe it. So to me, I think that he's more likely going to be released and maybe reevaluated after that than maybe a contract extension or whatever they could do to sort of get that number down. But to me, if I had to guess right now, I don't think he will be there.
With all the conversations you've had the opportunity to have with media members or fans since the season ended and getting ready for the offseason, we've talked obviously a bunch about the big stories with what's going to happen with Josh and Calvin and these guys, the in-house options. Is there a need that should be being talked about more than it has been, in your opinion, to this point?
It's a really good question. A need that hasn't been talked about yet? Honestly, we've gone through pretty much everything.
Sure.
I guess kicker is the one situation that no one's really talking too much about, and I mean, maybe it's a small thing. Brandon McManus is a free agent. They brought in Riley Patterson, so clearly kicker is something that they're going to be looking at hard this offseason. So maybe in free agency, I don't know who's out there, but maybe in the draft as well. I think kicker would be a position that they're going to hone in on.
It would be odd, right, to go, hey, we got to upgrade from this guy, doesn't have much leg strength, and then a year later after the team that picked him up cut him during the season, presumably for the same reason that you'd bring him back and expect it to be much different with Riley Patterson. But, by the way, he's one of 14 guys they announced today they signed to reserve future contracts. I think the most interesting ones on there are guys like Tavon Campbell and Eric Howlett. Some of the defensive backs based on, just what they have right now. Not a whole lot of depth in that secondary at corner. Demetrius, just put us in charge. We know what we need to get done here, man. I feel like we could approach Josh Allen's camp and he would be amenable to taking our money, but we'll just have to wait and see. It seems like it's simple, right? We all know the formula. Just take Shad's money and splash it around a little bit. All right, my man. Everybody go check out, because even though we mentioned the names, you want to read Demetrius's work and get into the details of why he feels each of these guys would be a good fit and what kind of the market might be for them out there. So go check out his work over at the Florida Times-Union, as always, and on social media at Demetrius82. Demetrius, appreciate it, bud. I'm sure we'll be talking soon. Thanks for the time today.
I appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
All right, buddy. There he goes. One of the best covering the team out there from the Florida Times-Union, Demetrius Harvey, here with us on Jaguars Today. Let's come back, Tony, give our number 5 in the countdown, going from most to, least important amongst the top 5. They're all important, the things that need to get done, but what are the issues the Jags need to address this offseason? We'll look at some of your top 5 submissions as well when we return in a moment. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
1010XL, Jaguars Today Tuesday.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios. Brought to you by Dream Finders Homes, official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL is your home for Jacksonville University basketball.
The Dolphins take their 2-game winning streak to Kennesaw State tomorrow night at 7 on 1010 AM.
Get ready for an extraordinary weekend at 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark. It's the inaugural Jacksonville College Baseball Classic, February 23rd to the 25th. It's Division I baseball at its best. Witness intense competition as Auburn, University of Iowa, University of Virginia, and Wichita State battle it out in a round-robin tournament format. It's a weekend of baseball you won't want to miss. To get your tickets and more information, visit jaxcbc.com.
More than 60 #1 hits. The king of country music. Código 1530 Tequila presents George Strait. One night only. Saturday, May 11th at Everbank Stadium. George Strait. With 8-time Grammy winner Chris Stapleton. A night filled with mega hits. And special guest, Little Big Town. Saturday, May 11th at Everbank Stadium. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. George Strait with Chris Stapleton and Little Big Town together live. Brought to you by Messina Touring Group.
Did you know Prime Roofing manufactures, fabricates, and installs their metal roofs? If you're thinking about a metal roof, think Prime Roofing. Schedule an estimate today at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
We don't have too many cold nights on the First Coast, but when the temperature drops, you want to hit the heat button and warm up. That's where Florida Home comes in. They're the AC experts in Jacksonville, and the importance of keeping your heating system in good working order is really important. If it stops working when it gets cooler, Florida Home will leap into action and provide you with the best solution. Heater and heat pump repair service and new system installation. They do it all. Just call Florida Home AC at 777-4300, the official heating and AC partner of the Jaguars.
The All-Pro Roofing phone line protects you from boring radio.
Hello? What are you doing here?
I don't know. Listen for great phone interviews all day on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
The calls have been pouring in.
On 1010XL.
Hey, this is Bert Cannon with the First Coast YMCA. Youth sports at the Y can help nurture your future athlete's potential and experience the joy of being a kid. At the Y, we're providing a safe, clean, and fun environment with basketball, soccer, volleyball, gymnastics, elite skills training, and more. Best of all, participation in Legacy Youth Sports League is free with your family membership. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods, and I'm proud to say that Underwoods is the longest-standing member of the American Gym Society in the state of Florida. That's important because the American Gym Society promotes professionalism inside the business, and most important because of how it protects the customer. Gemstones are like most things, and you have to have the knowledge about them before you can tell the truth about them. That's where the American Gym Society fits in. They're the organization that certifies gemologists and registered jewelers and certifies sales associates with professional titles. Then to ensure that we stay up to date with these gemological advances, we re-win our titles by passing a written test every year. And now I'm proud to say Underwoods has the largest credentialed American Gem Society staff east of the Mississippi River. So if you're interested in diamonds and jewelry and want real professional help, stop by Underwoods.
Underwood Jewelers in San Marco, in Avondale, and at the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Good people drink good beer, and great people drink Mocama, a refined craft brewery out of Fernandina Beach, Florida. Mocama Beer Company brings sophisticated flagship beers, including Cosmico IPA and Dune Garden Lager, to the greater Jacksonville area. Whether you're hitting the water with friends or enjoying a backyard barbecue, Mocama has the perfect fare for your summer activities. Look for us wherever great beers are sold and find your Mocama.
This is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about how God never fails us. In the Bible, Christ says this: I will in no way fail you or leave you without support. This is so important to remember because we can have the attitude, where is God when I need him? Why is this problem happening to me? No, just because your mind is saying one thing doesn't mean that God isn't going to do what he said. God has never failed us in the past. He's not about to start right now.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Jim was at the laundromat when he heard. His ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing." You could call them scent maracas, but most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
Looking for the perfect Saturday plans? Head over to Players Grill, where Saturdays are all about pizza and pints. Dive into a delicious pizza paired with your choice of Miller Lite or Yuengling draft beer for just $12.99. Pizza, pints, and a great time. Players Grill, where the neighborhood meets.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Yeah, I really think that if they have to use the tag on Allen and they have to let Calvin sort of test the market, I still think it's about 50-50 because I do know that the Jaguars want him back. I mean, they wouldn't have traded for him if they didn't like him a lot. They wouldn't talk him up this whole time if they didn't like him a pretty good bit. Yeah, there's some things that he needs to get better at, but I mean, for him coming off of 2 years basically, I thought he had a pretty good season.
I'm not going to disagree. I thought he had a pretty good season. Granted, some drops, some miscommunications, things like that. You have to evaluate internally with your coaching staff. Do you think that's all correctable stuff? Is that part of the knocking the rust off aspect, even though Calvin said there's no rust, right? Like, that's how players think. But definitely figuring out the wide receiver situation was number 4 on our list of our top 5 issues to address this offseason for the Jags. We'll finish our countdown here in a moment. Let me get Harry and Mandarin up at 641-1010 with a thought. Harry, you're on Jaguars Today.
Guys, I just don't understand this. Why we're always broke and we don't play a Khalil Mack. Do we have Bortles? Do we have Jack Del Rio still on the payroll? And I just don't understand why we're always broke and how these other teams can pay players. Maybe someday you guys could do a breakdown on what the Jaguars do as far as how many players and where we stand. Because I just don't understand why we're always broke.
We're not. They're not always broke, Harry. I don't know what you're talking about. The Jags, for most of Shad Khan's tenure, spent the most money in free agency of any team in the league. This idea that they're always broke. Teams, look, you want to see a team that's broke? Go look at the Saints. Every year, they're like 60, 80 million over the salary cap.
Even the conversation we were having there before we closed out with Demetrius about the Wilkins thing. If they wanted to sign Wilkins, they'd figure out a way to sign Wilkins.
Sure.
Right? They'd find the money to make that kind of deal if that's the deal that they wanted to make. And by the way, if they go to Shad Khan, if Balky and Peterson go to Khan and say, this is what we want to do. We want to sign this guy. It's going to cost this much. He'd say, do it.
Sign him. Right. If that's what you think's the best. The Jags have entered free agency with some of the most salary cap space. Now, not the last couple of years, but they are in the positive this year. They just don't have enough to cover the franchise tag. That doesn't mean they couldn't get that in one move.
And they made an offer to Allen Robinson. They made an offer to, Unique, right? They made competitive offers to these guys. Those guys said no.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about that except you want him to, overpay?
Unique would have made more money taking that offer than he ended up making.
He's cost himself.
Correct.
Millions of dollars by walking away from the deal the Jags offered, and that's on him to make that decision. They made Allen Robinson a very competitive offer. He said no. That's okay. That's the player's prerogative, too, to say no, but it's not. They didn't not continue their careers here in Jacksonville because the owner's cheap. That's just not true. That's the reason that it didn't work out. There were reasons that it didn't work out, but it's not because the owner said, I'm not paying these guys.
Absolutely.
And it's never been the case.
And by the way, just looking at cap hits this year, Christian Kirk, $24 million.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're asking, who are they paying? Well, Brandon Sheriff's $24 million. He'll probably be gone. So you're going to save a bunch of money there. Foye, it's $22 million. Cam Robinson right now, $21 million. And then you got a bunch of guys in that $10 to $12 million range. They paid a lot of guys. They're not broke by any stretch. Right now, at the moment, they're middle of the pack in terms of the available cap space. They can create a lot more. It's just that at this moment in time, they don't have the space. They don't need it today, however. All right, let's fire up that 10-10 take pockets.
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take, brought to you by Leonard Truck Accessories.
All right, I'm going to, kind of deviate off my top 5 here with one that I wasn't planning on going with, but there's so many to cover here. Top 5 issues that the Jags need to address this offseason. For me, Josh Allen getting a long-term deal, interior of the offensive line getting bolstered, Trevor Lawrence figuring out a way to be more efficient, cut down on the turnovers, figure out the wide receiver position. I initially had corner in there. Certainly could have gone with D-line like you did earlier, Tony. I'm just going to say this, and I'm kind of stealing this from somebody who submitted this. Draft more impact players, like guys that granted, maybe Brenton Strange and Tank Bigsby have long, successful careers here in Jacksonville. This team right now needs, with their second and third round picks, you're talking about top 100 players, even if it's a compensatory third round pick. These guys need to walk in and, if not take a job outright, be competing for a starting job the moment they arrive in their first practice in Jacksonville. You got that out of Anton Harrison. You got very little impact out of your second and third rounder. This is a team that needs to be more economical. They're not going to have their own third-round pick. They don't have the most salary cap space, so they can't just sign anybody they want in free agency, Tony. They need to have walk-in day one starters, more than one, out of this draft. They need to do a better job on finding guys that can make an instant impact, in my opinion. Is it the number 5 issue? It is for me today. That could change by tomorrow, but I wanted to highlight that at least.
Well, I think we've done, 10 years of this show, right? We've been talking Jaguars football for 30, and there's been plenty of years where getting ready for the draft, the team's been bad enough that it's like, well, yeah, whoever they take in the first 3 rounds is a day one starter. Obviously, they stink. Right, like that's been the way that it's felt. Well, last year going into the draft, it was like, okay, we'll see what they get out of these guys. Right, like that was the attitude even coming out of the draft. It was questionable. Why are they going tight end?
Right.
Second round, running back, third round. Okay, like they obviously feel very comfortable with where the roster is. They just won a playoff game. They're very comfortable with the roster. They didn't do anything in free agency. This year, we're having a whole show today talking about the needs for the team. These are not small needs, right? All 3 positions on the interior of the offensive line. Somebody on the interior of the defensive line that can give you something. What does the top end of the wide receiver depth chart look like for this football team? And I do have corner at number 5 on mine. These are not small needs. These are also not needs that you can look at the draft and see easily a path. There is a path to somebody on the first 2 days of the draft can step in at any of these spots and be a starter.
Sure.
Right? Like all these spots, this is typical of the league for players drafted at these spots that we're talking about to step in as a starter, have an impact for you as a rookie, as opposed to our second or third tight end at best, our third or fourth running back at best. And then you got less and less impact as you went through the draft. The only other impact they got from the draft was the guy that wound up, he had to play because they needed somebody that could return kicks. Right? Parker may not have played all year.
Correct.
If Christian doesn't get hurt.
Got a little bit out of Antonio Johnson late.
Right, and that's okay for a 6th-round pick.
Sure.
I'm not saying that that's not enough for a 6th-round pick, but 2nd and 3rd-round picks need to be guys that, the roster is at a point now, and today's discussion and the discussion we've been having since the season ended points to they're not a roster that can afford to, we'll see what these guys look like in 2 years. They're a roster that needs somebody to come in at spots where they need impact now because they're not getting it from their roster with the guys that they had last year.
By the way, Parker Washington's the 6th. Antonio Johnson was the 5th. And I know because I threw him in the middle of your conversation and want people, Tony thinks that he went in the 6th round. I just know. I'm just trying to preempt that one out there for you. I will say this. Everything you said, I don't disagree with, but somebody really put a good one on there at Crystal Clear 55 on the X machine here.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 on their list, stadium.
Huh.
That's pretty good, actually. You know what? I mean, you think about it, I think I'd have to have that in my top 5 as a franchise. Does that mean what makes them most competitive on the field this year?
Here.
But is that an issue that I want to see addressed this year? I think I may, honestly, I was looking at it through a certain prism.
Yeah.
But that could easily be number 1 on my list.
I think we'll know whatever's going to happen with it this summer.
I hope so.
Is what it feels like the timeline is on all that, but certainly that being high on anybody's list makes sense.
I'll give them the rest of the list since that one was a very good point. Stadium, O-line, Josh Allen, D-tackle, and salary cap issues. It's working it out. So good job there throwing stadium in the mix because that was not an angle we were looking at it from.
Yeah.
But no question.
It's a good call.
I mean, that is – when you talk about the long-term stability of the franchise, you may lose Josh Allen. You can't lose the stadium deal. Right, you got to have the stadium deal.
Because then you lose the team.
Because then you lose it all, right, eventually. All right, let's say hello to our good friends with XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill brought to you by Tire Outlet. Tire Outlet is now hiring. Visit TireOutlet.com/careers. Equal opportunity employer.
Big Sirs.
What's good?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great.
We were just discussing today, we do Tuesday top 5 issues for the Jags to address this offseason. Some of the obvious ones, right?
Yeah.
Josh Allen, what are you going to do at wide receiver, interior of the offensive line? Give me something like a little bit deeper cut. What's something that maybe we're not talking about enough that you'd like to see the Jags address this offseason? Yes.
Culture.
That's a good one. Yes.
Absolute culture. Identify yourself on what you're going to be this season.
And what do you want them to be this season?
I want them to be more resilient.
Gritty, not pretty?
Yeah, that kind of thing. I want them to have some kind of pit bull about them. I mean, you don't go 8-3, number one seed, and just all of a sudden fall off the cliff. Something's wrong. Something's wrong organizationally. Something's wrong with coaching, play calling, in that locker room. So that culture has to build up.
I think it's another good one. Like one of mine was Trevor Lawrence needs to learn how to be more efficient, not turn it over as much. But you're not going to know that, right? It's much like culture. You won't know that until you get to December. How's the culture of this team played out, right? But that's when the groundwork has got to get done. Got a lot of things on the checklist this offseason.
Absolutely. Long laundry list.
Like some of the tangible stuff, get that contract done, get this contract done.
But you know what? All other 31 teams do. Only one team holds the Lombardi.
You're right about that.
All 31 teams got something to work
And
with.
are they a flawless team? No. Right? So when we look at, well, how can we do? We didn't address this. You can't address it all. True. You simply can't. And look, the Chiefs played without an all-pro left tackle and beat Baltimore and San Fran in back-to-back games without Joe Thuney, one of the best linemen in the game. So overcome.
I tell you what I always did in all season when I thought about it. I said to myself, don't let you be the problem. You don't let you, whatever you did last year, don't let that be the problem this year.
Are you a part of the solution?
Yes. I always said
problem?
that. I always said it to myself, Leon, don't let you be the problem next year, this upcoming season. If everybody took that approach, hell, you'll have a hellified team.
Well, people ask me every day, what have you done to make 1010XL better? I say, I stopped talking at noon. That's what I do, and give it to XL primetime. So what's coming up, Leon?
Listen, we're going to look at the end of the Super Bowl, and we're going to look at the free agents that played in the Super Bowl and see if I'm pretty sure they'll be a nice fit here in Jacksonville.
Yes.
See if we can pick up the litter.
Hell, I'd take Jawan Jennings. He's restricted free agent. I'd take him at the right price.
Absolutely.
There are plenty of guys.
Absolutely.
I would like on
So that's
board.
what we're going to talk. We're going to talk free agency, Super Bowl, and we're going to talk Jags.
All right. That's what we do around these parts.
That's right.
Leon, have a great show.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Big Sirs coming your way with XL Primetime for the next 3 hours. Tony Smith, what you got laying out for you today? Anything?
Nothing.
Me either, bro. I'm going to go hit some balls and maybe go for a walk around the neighborhood. And gosh, man, this is like my normal person Saturday is what Tuesday is. I love it, man. I'm done at noon and off we go. But last full week on Sirius XM, so I'll be a slacker come next Monday, man. But at least for the off season. But for today, that does it for us. Thanks for playing along. Appreciate all the feedback we got. Got a lot of the same things. What I'm going to try to do today is pull out some of the outliers, right? Like everyone says Josh Allen, right? Okay, we all agree, us included. You can't leave him out. Wide receiver Calvin Ridley. You got to figure these things out. But what are some of the outliers? I thought that one about the stadium was excellent to kind of bring that back into focus. So for Pockets, semi-decent job today. You made Darren happy hooking him up with the tickets.
Woo.
So that, woo. We got more tickets to give away to that concert throughout the afternoon on 1010XL. So be tuned in, as you always are, we hope. For Tony Smith, for Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Thanks to Demetrius Harvey for joining us. More on the Jags tomorrow. You know where, right here from 10 to noon on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
It's Jaguars Today, Tuesday.